I think you have to take the Browns very seriously.
Agreed.
Kevin Stefanski, bravo, sir. This team can win this division. This team can win a 1 seed with the way they're playing defense with Myles Garrett and then the way that they're believing. Honestly,
They can beat any of those teams. The Dolphins, they can beat the Chiefs, they can beat the Jaguars, they can beat the Texans.
They can beat the Ravens.
They can
As
beat
we
the
saw.
Ravens, as we
Right.
just saw last week. And for them to pivot from beating the Ravens, losing Deshaun Watson, and refocusing with the rookie quarterback and beating the Steelers, it really was amazing. And we got to get used to that. Remember, we went through the whole thing with we can't get used to the Bengals being good. I can't get used to looking at that uniform and associating it with a good team. You better do it with the Browns. And I know a lot of you out there have been watching the Browns for a long time and you don't associate it with a good team. Get used to it.
They believe in you, man. They believe in you. Let's go.
joke all you want. They're 7-3. You are what you are.
So another week in a new location. I'm in my little brother's living room right now here in Cleveland, Ohio. He's off camera filming, but it's great to be back and it's great to be talking to everyone after another win, after another shocker, another breaking of the curses. When we started this channel back in week 1, the whole idea was being an optimistic Cleveland fan, and that was my rally call, my rally cry to say that the curses don't exist. All of that is confirmation bias and negative energy that people focus in on. They focus in on the negative when there are so many positives to be had. We've gone through Deshaun Watson being washed and then returning and then losing him to injury, Nick Chubb, the calls for Kevin Stefanski's head saying that he's not a good play caller. He isn't an inspirer of men. He's not a good leader. Now we're talking about maybe he's the coach of the year, considering he's down 3 tackles. He's down to his 3rd quarterback. He's down his all-pro running back. Now we're down Rodney McLeod too. But in general, what we talked about last week was that this team was built to overcome, that they have true character. They're battle tested. Their wins are more impressive than anyone else's when you think about it in the NFL. And that is what makes this team special. And that's why I believe, that's why I was making that argument last week, that this could be the 2015 Broncos, a team that just has so much grit, one that can grind out, win ugly games, run the ball effective enough, play complementary football, have a great defense, and just believe no matter who the quarterback is. Now for us, we're down to QB number 3. And what did he do for us? He took care of the ball for the most part, outside of one errant throw that was a tipped interception, but put it all together on the game-winning drive to knock out the Steelers. First time the Browns have beat the Ravens and the Steelers back-to-back. It just goes to show that this team continues to break new ground each week. And again, we'll probably lose a couple more games this season. We're not even talking about the Super Bowl. We're just talking about what is possible, and anything is possible with this team because it's just what their makeup is, how much Stefanski has taken a leap as a leader, his passion is showing more. It's just great. So let's get into the game. My brother blessed us with some outstanding tickets. We got to be in the 7-Up Club access thing. We're section 307, right on the 35-yard line. And I'd only ever sat in the dog pound every time I've ever been to a Browns game. So that was just unbelievable. So thank you. But just an absolutely perfect November football day. Sunny, blue skies, 50 degrees. Playing the Steelers, like what else could you ask for? So let's get into the actual performances. Opening drive, Cleveland moved the ball really well down the field. I thought that they did a good job with DTR just saying, hey man, take one read, get the ball out of your hand very quick, minimize any sort of negative possibilities. Don't let the pass rush get to you. They wind up being able to flip the field, pin Pittsburgh deep, and then just say, okay, let's unleash Myles Garrett, send him after him, and set the tone to come out with that much fire where you have a safety on the opening defensive play of the game, and that was a safety. Like we could see it from our seats. And then they show the replay in the stand, like Kenny Pickett's falling back into the end zone once contact is made. I was looking down at Stefanski from the sideline, and you can see him like arguing with the ref, and he threw down the flag just as the next play was snapped. And then even the second one looked like it maybe could have been a safety as well, but whatever. Ultimately, they get the ball back, they drive down. At no point did it feel like Pittsburgh was ever going to really make a run whatsoever, unless they just kept feeding Jaylen Waren the ball, but they didn't. So, every time Najee Harris goes back there, We were content. We were happy about that. Let Kenny Pickett try and pass it. He's not seeing the field well enough. Matt Canada isn't a good enough co-ordinator. And obviously, as of today, he has now been fired. There were clearly a lot of dead points in terms of offensively throughout the game, but I think that was just Stefanski saying, let's minimize any chance of negative plays, interceptions, fumbles, whatsoever. And it was definitely very, very conservative. However, like, you're dealing with a good defense. Cam Hayward was back, TJ Watt, Highsmith. Like, they're going to do their thing if you give them enough time. But as a lot of the stats that have come out after the fact, the reason why they got barely any pressure and barely any quarterback hits was the fact that DTR was getting the ball out so fast. They were doing everything to minimize the strengths of the Steelers. The reason why they won the first matchup is because they had 2 defensive touchdowns, and the second one was such a backbreaker because it was Deshaun Watson, who is able to hang back in the pocket and pick apart a defense, find an open guy. Jedrick Wills gets beat, and he gets a strip sack, goes for a touchdown. So even though it was ultra conservative, it was a game where I don't think many people thought it was going to be a score fest, and 13-10 sounded about right. Kid's first start, what are you going to do? Keep it conservative, let him do his thing. What I really, really, really did like was running those outside QB powers, and then I just thought he had a really great ability throwing those slants, just like firing the ball in one step, shoot it in there. But that final drive to close out the second half, to me, that was the most impressive drive of the game. I thought he did such a good job just commanding the field, working the ball down methodically. And then they have, 3 chances at the end zone. That first ball to Njoku, and this was the big story of the game, Njoku's drops. That was a beautiful back shoulder shot. You could see it standing up in the stands. Me and my dad were talking to each other. We're saying, okay, like, they got Njoku one-on-one on the outside. You have to do that. DTR threw a great back shoulder ball and off the hands. And ultimately, if they don't wind up pulling out the game, not even all the other drops in the second half, that one would have been the one that was pointed to, saying like, that lost us the game, because it was a perfect ball, hit him right in the hands, both hands, and didn't complete it. So, it would have been nice if the receivers could have held onto the ball a little bit more. That makes a big difference in terms of his stat line, his confidence to be able to say, 250 plus yards, maybe, 65% completion rate, 70% completion rate, and a touchdown. That does a lot rolling into Denver. However, it doesn't work out that way. Thank God we make that trade for Dusty Hopkins, kick the field goal, move it to 10. The second half, we were inside grabbing a beer in the 7-Up lounge, and we're waiting because it was such long lineups for the bathroom for concessions and whatnot. We look up and we just see Jaylen Waren burning down the sideline. And you could hear the groans of the fans, and a lot of the old fans, the ones with the money who can afford to go to those games regularly, the season ticket holders, they were the groans of we know what's coming now. Here comes Pittsburgh rallying back. But it just turned out that's just what it is. Cleveland can get counterpunched. They get out of their run fit sometimes. They might have a blown coverage, and they get one big play against them. So that happens. Then game winds up getting tied up. I think with Njoku, if we can touch on that, David Njoku is a great player with unbelievable potential. He's a fantastic blocker. That is really the one thing that he does outstanding. He can make the most athletic plays, go up with one hand, out jump guys in the seam. He just drops routine balls. That is his biggest problem. He drops the easy ones, the must-haves, the ones that keep a drive going. So that happens, and man, did it happen a lot that game. Ultimately, he winds up saving the day on that final drive. We'll get there in a second. But that is something that we really are going to have to see Njoku become more reliable, especially if DTR is going to be the guy consistently for the rest of the season. That is a young quarterback's best friend. That is what made Lamar Jackson so good from such a young age and so early in his career as a starter. He had Mark Andrews, and that makes such a difference. Having a big body like that, where you could be I could throw up a 50-50 ball. If you win inside on a slant, they can't play through your body because you're 250 pounds and it's a 190-pound safety covering you. You need that guy to be all reliable for you. And also the same way with Pat Mahomes, man. Obviously he has Tyreek Hill, he has some other pieces at that time, but Travis Kelce was there the whole time and was a reliable piece, a big target. And I really think a great tight end is a young quarterback's best friend. he's got to be that guy. He has to take the onus on himself to say, like, okay, like, I'm not going to drop anymore. I can be Mr. Reliable. And by any means, like, just make the play for your quarterback so his confidence can grow. Let's jump to those final 2 drives. Cleveland gets the ball back. They're driving down. It's 3rd and 8 or whatever it is. And then Njoku runs that whip route, drops it. It's a little high from DTR, but that was going to be a first down. So you have to punt it away. Leave it to Kenny Pickett, Matt Canada, and the Steelers. 14 seconds, 3 plays, 3 incompletions, giving Cleveland the ball back, tied 10-10. When Cleveland got the ball back there, no matter what, you just can't throw an interception. Like that was it. And I thought they're going to give him like high percentage short throws, hopefully do something with, your 2 timeouts, I believe at the time, and pray that someone can break a tackle and work downfield. But what do? They drop back on a 5-step drop and hit a huge curl route to Elijah Moore. That ball from DTR, like, that is a pure confidence throw, and that's that clutch gene that you can already see within him. I don't care what the deal is. I'm going to have Elijah Moore split this deep zone coverage, and I'm going to give him a ball low and away in the perfect spot and just rip it down that line. Like, that was a beautiful throw. And this is one thing with DTR just in general. He plays with so much passion that sometimes he can get his body too much in the ball. Sometimes he can throw too much of a block when he's, blocking on Cedric Tillman's reverse. Sometimes he can lower his shoulder too much into bigger guys who could really tear him up if he gets squared up one day. But you could see it on that throw. Like, he put everything into it, and it was focused like a laser. Rip that ball, put your body into it, give your guy a safe catch, and keep the chains moving. So having that positive play, first play, that was huge. Then they hit a beautiful slant, hits Cooper in the slot. Then we go down, and then David Njoku, absolute props to you. I played receiver in university, in high school all the way through. You drop some balls sometimes, but when you have a quarterback who believes in you, comes back to you, like, that is the ultimate thing. When they don't hold those early drops against you, they give you a chance to redeem yourself, and then you capitalize. Like, that does so much to build your confidence back, especially in a key moment like that. So if you look, like, it was literally the exact same play that he dropped on the 3rd and 8, their previous series that they had, that return route back inside, and he completes it, gets an 11-yard gain, gets the first down. Then they're set up, run it one more time to Kareem Hunt. Then there was that weird timeout situation. And again, in the stands, when you're live at the game, sometimes you miss out on some of these things, or you're like, wait, what's going on? They call a timeout, run the play, call another timeout, have 20 seconds left on the clock, have to run the ball one more time, and then are scrambling to get the spike down. At that point, you knew this game is in the bag. We just have to hit a chip shot. There was enough time left, even regardless, even though it was like a weird timeout usage. You have 20 seconds, you run one more play. Kareem Hunt was fighting so hard, it was almost like, dude, get down. Like, we got to spike this thing. The first down doesn't matter here. But DTR did a great job. Goes to pull Kareem Hunt off the ground, runs back, gets down, spikes the ball, and then it's just Dusty Hopkins time, man. Like, old reliable. What a trade. All these people who doubted Andrew Berry, the front office, Kevin Stefanski all year. How many times do you need to be proven wrong until you understand that, okay, these guys know best. They're literally the best front office and coaching combination this team has had. And I know, like we mentioned, the 90s with Belichick, like, yeah, maybe they would have made a run if Cleveland didn't get moved in 95. I was born 3 days before the Browns' last game ever. Even 2004 when they made the playoffs. So you're not really into football. Your whole life, you're waiting for the greatness. You're waiting for the stability that you see from, the Ravens, that you see from the Steelers. And now it's here, man. But it's not always going to be perfect. Like, sometimes you go through periods where even in the stability, you question things, but the stability is better than the erratic nature of, like, fire the coach, fire the GM. Oh, like, they have to answer for this. They need to answer for trading a pick for a kicker. It's like, that is why you trade for a kicker. If we had Cade York, we might have 4 wins this year. Literally, like, how many points has Dustin Hopkins scored for us? Like, he's on pace to break the all-time single-season record for points. It was a fantastic move, and just all kudos, all hats off to this coaching staff. You cannot undervalue or undersell what they've given. And, you know, it's like what we talked about in the intro here. Kevin Stefanski has now gone from, and again, maybe from a lot of the casual Browns fans of fire Stefanski. He's not a good play caller, like, look at this objectively. Look at all the adversity he has had to deal with and the things he's had to coach around. He is legitimately a coach of the year candidate. So just in general, like, it was such a great feeling, like, to be in the stadium, watch them win that game, move to 7-3. Like, we were 3-7 at this point last year. We are 7-3 now. Have the chance to go into Denver, and I'm going to do an extra video this week talking about like an outline, an outlook for that game, the things we got to do, what it means if we can win it. We are not only in the conversation for the playoffs and the AFC North title, we are now in the conversation for the #1 seed in the AFC, especially after last night with Kansas City losing to Philadelphia. So all of this is possible, man. Like this is truly what I believed in, regardless of understanding or being able to accurately predict what Deshaun Watson was going to be like. Like, that is why I said this is a 12-5 team. Week 1 or week 0 going into the season, I said the Browns are a 12-5 team. You cannot add this much talent, this much continuity with front office and head coach and not improve. As long as we stay consistent, as long as we can retain the right pieces, this is going to be a good team for a long time. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you so much for everything. Really excited for the rest of the season. There'll probably be a second video coming out this week, and we'll talk a bit more about the Broncos game, rest of the season outlook. We'll have some special guests on it. Special to me, not so much to you, but something to look forward to. So see you soon. Thanks so much for watching. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.